Hi, I'm Bill Woodard. Welcome to the Chamber Corner. Well, we're still here on our walk around the historic Smith County Heritage Museum, and Mr. Walter Glenn Birdwell has come by, and he's going to talk to you about Citizens Bank. But before you do, there's some history that actually relates to Smith County and Citizens Bank. You were relating to me, the bank started in 1929, is that right?
Yes, it did.
And you were around then.
I was.
Well, that's quite a feat.
I was 9 months old at the time, so I don't remember. I would always hear about those early days.
So when the bank was formed, you just come into the world. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting thought. Mr. Birdwell, tell us about Citizens Bank and a little bit about what you guys are doing. Kind of give us a commercial.
Well, we started back in 1929. We opened, my father had worked in a bank in Nashville, and he had the idea he wanted to get back to the country because he was reared up in Jackson County on the farm. And so he got together a group of local investors and raised $30,000 to start the bank.
That's big back then.
They're big back then. He got the group together, and the bank started, and it's grown. Now we're over 600 million in assets, and so it's been a long time growth, and a lot of it's been inflation, frankly. But we are the only bank that's left that's headquartered here in Smith County, and we appreciate being the hometown folks. And so we have branched out ourselves, and we have 8 offices in 3 counties. We have in White County and Putnam County, and of course headquartered here in Smith County, and have 4 offices here in Smith County. And we are always trying to find out more things we can do for the community. We've been involved in everything that comes along that we can find. We've always been involved in the recruitment of industry and new businesses, and in the old times and still today, our farm economy is what we like to look at, because this is still a rural county, but we like all the growth we can get of every kind.
Well, I know Citizens Bank's been a part of all of that. I know you're on the industrial board, and when we built the industrial park, you were a part of that, and been involved in all of this.
Yes, I was involved in opening of 7 industrial buildings in the county, and it's been a pleasure to work in those things. And some of the ones I worked on are no longer in existence, but we generally have a good climate for industry, and our people are hardworking and willing to produce the kind of workers factory need to have.
Yeah, and we're lucky to have that. A little bit of nostalgia. There's an old change machine back here. I believe that came from your bank, didn't it?
It sure did, and I used to, back in my early days when I was a teller, I used to use them, and they're very efficient, because if you need 98 cents, you punch the 98 cent button and 98 cent came out. So not everything has to be new. Some of the old stuff still works.
Some of the old stuff still works just well.
Yes, it does.
Well, I'm certainly glad you came by to see us, and I know here in about another week or week and a half, you're going to be speaking to the leadership group and giving them a little bit of history of Smith County.
Yes.
And so we appreciate you doing that. You guys are involved in a lot of things. We wanted to get you in front of the industry section here because the change machine was there mostly, but appreciate you coming by. And is there anything else? So you got a special on, maybe a low mortgage rate or something?
Well, we always have a special on. We live on specials all the time.
All right. Well, if you need a loan or you're a full service bank, if you want to open a checking account, savings account, need a loan or anything that you can think of in banking, Citizens Bank can help you out.
We surely will. And thank you for letting me be here to speak.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're still walking around the museum, and right here is a map of Smith County, and it's got all of the roads on it, and we just happen to have the road superintendent with us, Mr. Steve Coble.
I appreciate it, Mr. Billy, for the invitation.
Well, I'm glad you could come by. Since we're in the museum, we're talking about history. Tell us a little bit of the history that you remember about our roads.
I'm going to go back 25 years. That's when my father had the job, and maybe I started taking interest in the highway department. But as a child, of course, they were gravel roads, and when my father got the job, they were still gravel roads. And the time at that point in time and day, you were able to oil and chip all the roads and get them up in good shape and get away with all this dust and gravel. And
right, they were all gravel roads right out there.
And so everyone was happy.
Yeah.
And with the help of the commissioners and the mayor and extra gas tax, we're starting to make an improvement in the roads again. The roads have kind of gotten in bad shape over the last few years because of resource. Well,
the passage of this Improve Act, I believe, is giving you extra money to be able to work on the roads. Is that right?
That's exactly right. And we've produced 14.5 miles so far this year.
Oh, wow.
That's this year just so far. Of course, right now the weather's not right. Got to have the right weather for the oil. And I think Mr. McKinney might have something, you and him, that y'all might want to express to the public.
Okay, well, we've got a clip. Graciously, the Smith County Insider and DTC, they're allowing us to show you a clip. We went over, the Insider did, to your office, yes. And you have charts on the wall that explained about the roads and everything. And by the way, if anybody wants to come over and see you, they can, I'm sure.
I've always said you on the front door.
Right, and if you got a question about your road, you can actually go over there and Steve can show you how many miles it is. And before we cut to this clip, tell me this, how many miles of road we got in Smith County?
We have 441 county miles.
441 county miles. Folks, that's a lot of road in Smith County. But we're going to go to this clip and let you see what Mr. Steve has drawn up. And Steve, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Since the Improve Act has come into effect, Smith County Road Supervisor Steve Coble has been hard at work putting the new tax revenue to use.
The first year, which is this year's budget year 2017-18, the gas tax has brought in an additional $350,000. And with $350,000 additional dollars, making the product, taking the product out to the road and laying the product ourselves with our own equipment and manpower, we can do for $20,989.65 a mile. And we have been so far able to do 14.4 miles this year. 14.4 for $302,000. And that's us stockpiling the material. We rent a pug mill for 65 cents a ton. My employees, they make the material. We load the material onto our own trucks. We go out, we have our own paver. We do it all. And that's why I'm doing it at $20,900 a mile. About 2/3 cheaper than if we were doing it in hot mix. But you're still getting the oil and chip road just like what Smith County roads have been for the past 24 years. Every year we have to do a county road list, and so while I was doing that road list this year, I rated all the roads. And these first two boards on top are what I'm considering poor county roads. Need attention right now. And a total number of them, there's 220 of them, with a total miles of 196.23 miles of what I consider poor roads. It would cost $4,118,992.02 to fix them. The next was the fire, what I considered fire roads in the county. You could take a machine right now today and pick it up and down and do the worst spots, and you could still probably preserve these roads right here. But there were 83 of them with a total of 137.9 miles. And to do that was $2,894,383. I think we could do it in about 2.5 years. And the way that I would want to be fair with the citizens of Smith County, I would just say go to District 1 and do 10 miles. Go to District 2, do 10 miles. 3, give everybody 10 miles all through all 8 districts. Everybody sees their money being spent. Start over at District 1, do 10 more. And to me, that would be the only fair way to treat everyone in Smith County. I just want the people to know that I am trying to get our gas tax that's been given to this county. I'm trying to get it appropriated into a note. The commissioners are working with me right now, listening, and we're taking it one level to the next. And as we finally determine what the outcome is, I'll be glad to let everyone know. But I just want the people of Smith County to know that I'm trying to do my job, and I'm trying to spend the tax money that has been dedicated to us already, and we don't have to put the burden on the people of Smith County.
Reporting in Gordonsville, J.R. Smith, Smith County Insider.
All right, we're still on our tour here around the museum, and Miss Alexis Gregory has come up from the Candy Bar.
Yes, sir.
And we want you to tell us about, first off, where is the Candy Bar?
The Candy Bar is located on Main Street, right beside the Cozy Cabin.
Okay, and so we just walk out of the Heritage Museum, we can be just almost right there.
Yes, sir.
All right, tell me, what does the Candy Bar do? What do you sell?
A lot of what the Candy Bar is known for is the custom arrangements. We do candy arrangements ranging from like birthdays all the way to like housewarming gifts. So pretty much any occasion you could think of, we can make you a candy arrangement for it. But we don't sell just candy. We also sell ice cream, milkshakes, ice cream sundaes, coffee, lattes, cappuccinos, the works. So.
I was going to say, I got a cup of coffee in there the other day. So,
yes, sir.
And you can just walk in off the street. You have tables outside when the weather's permitting. I guess people can sit out there and,
yes, sir,
and watch the traffic.
We have tables and bar stools inside too, so when it is rainy and you're got a sweet tooth, we'll take care of you.
You can come in. Well, now, I haven't had one of the milkshakes yet, but I got to try that. Okay, now I know you do some programs to cater to sometimes the school kids with their report cards. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What do you do?
On report card day, a lot of times if the kids will bring in their report card, they'll get a free cotton candy.
Okay.
So, and sometimes popcorn, but most of the time cotton candy. If we run out, we won't leave anybody empty-handed.
Well, I noticed I've been by a few times and I've seen them lined up in the street all the way out the door. So, so it evidently is a popular day.
That's a very popular day. A lot of times on my shift, I'll have to make like 100 to 200 bags of cotton candy. So it's fun. We actually had to borrow your cotton candy machine one time because ours like overheated from making so much.
Yeah, I remember that. I was glad I had some way to help you out.
I was too. I was a little nervous that day because it was like the first 10 cotton candies and it like broke and I was like, oh goodness, what are we going to do? There's 600 kids that need free cotton candy.
And they would have not been happy, I'm sure.
I don't think they would have. I wouldn't have been.
Well, I'm glad you're doing that for these guys, and I'm sure they appreciate it. And if it helps us get better grades, that's even better.
There we go. Yeah.
All right. Well, Alexis, thanks. Tell us your hours and the days that you're open, and then we'll cut away.
We're open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and on Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay. So if you can find the Carthage Square, you can find the Candy Bar.
Yes, sir, you can.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're still here at the Heritage Museum, and as you can see behind us, we're at the medical exhibit, and actually we saw some of the bags from the doctors, and you were commenting about how this is Mr. Tommy Angel.
Yes.
He's with the Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition, and he was talking about how he had actually worked with some of these doctors. I guess that kind of makes
all of them.
that kind of makes us a little old, isn't it?
Yeah.
I probably was weighed in this baby scale here at Dr. Wilson's, but anyway, we were going to talk to you something about something that's going on today, and I'm going to just kind of turn it over to Tommy and let him talk. I'll be the mic stand.
You hold the mic and I'll do the props here.
All right.
Again, I'm with the Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition, and I work out of the grant of Tennessee Save a Life program. And we are doing naloxone Narcan training, and we're doing individual trainings in Smith County. We're going to do it February 22nd at 5:30 p.m., and it's going to be at the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
So at these trainings, you will learn how to, all the history of Narcan, how to use Narcan, and at that time we will distribute you actually 2 doses. And this is free, no cost to the individuals. And it's also we'll be giving you a kit, and at that time, any questions, if you have a loved one, someone that you may know that is in high risk of opioid overdose, and that's what we do. I am a ROPES, I'm a Regional Overdose Prevention Specialist.
Okay, well, now some questions come to mind when we talk about that. When you get qualified to administer the Narcan, is there a possibility, a lot of people say, well, if I give it to somebody that's not in an overdose, I make a mistake, how's that going to affect them? You need to tell them that.
Naloxone actually came in the United States in 1961, and then FDA approved it in 1971. And since then, there's no evidence. Well, I mean, we've looked and looked of a major reaction to Narcan. If you go in and have surgery and have general anesthesia, if say you had a shoulder surgery, you're probably going to be waking in recovery with naloxone. So at this time, we have no evidence of a major reaction to it.
Okay, so if I see somebody and I'm mistakenly thinking they're overdosed and they're not, and I administer it,
it will not hurt them. The only thing it will work on is opioids, and we're talking about pain medications, prescription pain medications. It will not affect you if you had a heart attack, say you're in a diabetic coma, anything else, it does not affect those. It only works on the opioids.
Opioids, and if you're in an overdose state, it basically makes it go away.
Yes, what it does is it goes to the brain receptors, it knocks the opioid. When you're in an opioid overdose, you're in respiratory distress or respiratory failure. This hits the receptors, respiratory reactions come back, and it comes back pretty quick. Usually what we've seen on body cams, like with police, is 20 to 30 seconds. You got a response.
Okay.
Now, the thing you got to remember, this only lasts 30 to 90 minutes. The drug is still in the body. So always call 911.
So you got to get them to a hospital and get them help. Okay, a question comes to mind is the administration of it. Is this an injection or how do you do this?
What we're doing through the state of Tennessee is actually just a nasal spray. So you're going to actually place and push. As long as you don't push before it gets in the nose, you're giving the dose.
Okay.
So there are other ways to give it, but for this grant and for state of Tennessee, they use the actual prepackaged nasal dose. Easy as it gets.
Okay, and if you get this kit and basically get the training, then you're okay. Good Samaritan law covers you. You're an individual that's trying to help someone.
We will give the certificates out at that time, and you'll also get your doses and your kits, and you are covered under the Good Samaritan law of the state of Tennessee.
Okay, and you've done this training, I guess, all over the Upper Cumberland, haven't you?
Yeah, we covered 13 counties, my wife and I, Suzanne, and we started out with law enforcement. We've trained over 600 law enforcement agents. And I don't know, we probably do sometimes 3-4 trainings. We were at Cumberland County this last Saturday, did 2 trainings. We did a training in Warren County this morning. So yes, we're all 13 counties.
And there's a lot of people in Smith County that are trained to use this now, and the kits are available.
We've had individuals actually come to the office up at Smith County, and we've also done scheduled trainings, and that's why we're doing another one.
Okay.
So again, February 22nd, 5:30 p.m. at the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, well, and we're going to talk to Suzanne about another program that you guys have.
Come on in.
All right.
Hello, Mr. Woodard.
Hi, Miss Suzanne. This is Miss Suzanne Angel. She's with the Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition. And Suzanne, what do you got to tell us about today?
I'm a regional overdose prevention specialist, and one of the things that we're working with through the State Targeted Response Grant, which we're funded through the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, is working on our counties in the Upper Cumberland and providing medical information to providers, physicians, dentists, nurses, anyone in healthcare. And we're having a medical forum in DeKalb County on March 20th, and it is from 5:30 to 8:30, and it meets the requirements for the medical education that doctors are required to have, and also for dentists. And we're also giving credit to nurses. They can get their continuing education units also. But anyone's welcome. Anybody that wants to come is welcome. It's at the DeKalb County Community Center, and you can register for this by contacting the Smith County Drug Prevention Office or the DeKalb County Anti-Drug Coalition, or it's also going to be on the Facebook page and the website, a link to register at the Chamber of Commerce. And there is a $15 fee, and that covers a meal will be provided during that. And there's $50 for physicians, but that's because it costs that much to apply for their continuing medical education credits. That's what they have to pay. But we look forward to seeing people there. Dr. Mitchell Mutter is the speaker. He's a physician. Now he's retired and working for the state of Tennessee. He's a wonderful speaker. He's going to talk about chronic pain guidelines, the opioid epidemic, what providers can do, and the best management for people that come into the office and that do have a problem with opioid dependence.
Okay, and laws are changing in the state of Tennessee now. I believe the governor has actually put an initiative forward, and that has changed, and things are going to be a little different than they've been, right?
They will be. Tennessee Together, the governor did make the big announcement. They're working in all different, everybody's come together to work on this crisis, this epidemic in the state of Tennessee. They're working for law enforcement, they're working for treatment, and then for prevention. So they'll be working a lot. There will be a lot of changes. There may be some confusion, some fear. We want to let people know that we're not against, we want people to get the care that they need. There are also some alternatives to opioids where Tommy and I are certified to do self-management of chronic pain. There's a lot of things you can do to help people with chronic pain. Also, it's only going to be a 5-day prescription for opioids, but there's circumstances where that can be greater too. Your doctor can explain why you need more and things like that. So they're not just hopefully cutting people off cold turkey, but it will be a lot of changes. And hopefully, though, for people that have become dependent, we'll have more treatment in the state of Tennessee for our uninsured.
Well, the report that I read, the cancer patients will be treated a little differently, and also hospice patients.
Yes.
So I think it'll be different. I may ask you a question here that you may not know the answer to.
I'll just tell you I don't.
Okay. Do you know how many overdoses either in the state of Tennessee or in Smith County in like a 12-month period? Or?
Yes, we had, our statistics said that we had 33 in 2015. I don't have our 2016 Smith County overdose, but the governor said last week that 3 people die in the state of Tennessee every day of accidental overdose. That's known identified. I say the number's even higher. And it's estimated that 142 people die every day in the United States of accidental opioid overdose. It's the #1 cause of death in people under the age of 50, and it kills more people than motor vehicles, homicide, and suicide. So it is, the President Trump's declared it a national health emergency. Our governor's on board. We're just all going to have to work together. We're losing a generation of people, and from that, it's not just those people. It affects their family and their friends, and there's a lot of pain from this issue in our communities.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of us can say we have a family member that unfortunately is gone because of this. And I think it's a wonderful initiative to teach people to be able to save a life like this and give that gift of another chance. And I know all of us sometimes would love to have another chance on things, and I think this is wonderful.
And I really appreciate the communities that are inviting us. We've had churches, civic organizations, school nurses have been really concerned about that. Our law enforcement has been really wanting to reach out to that. First of all, they're first responders a lot of times, and also they're at personal risk. People may have heard some about the fentanyl powder that's coming in that's 50 to 100 times stronger than heroin. We had a gentleman that came to our training Saturday, and he sat in there and took the training, and he had a cousin that had a stepson that had been in recovery for almost 12 months, and he had a slip, and he bought a Xanax on the street, and it was laced with fentanyl. He died. So that's why he came to get to get the kit and the training and understand more about it.
Well, back years ago, they said a selfless act is to learn CPR, because you can't do it on yourself, but you can save somebody else's life. I think Narcan is another selfless act that you can do. Somebody that who knows their circumstance and why they got in the situation they're in.
And that's true.
But you can be a selfless act and help save them.
And that's true. And there is a myth that it's only injecting drug use, heroin users that overdose. 70% of overdoses are people that have a true medical condition that are prescribed opioid medications. They've either taken it wrong, they've taken it with something else. So we want doctors to co-prescribe naloxone. We want people to know how to use it. It doesn't solve the epidemic of addiction, but it is like a tourniquet or CPR, the Heimlich maneuver. It does save lives.
Yes, and we want to do that. Well, Suzanne, thank you very much.
It's March 20th.
Okay.
At the DeKalb County Community Center, and you can contact the office or check the chamber website or Facebook. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming. All right. We're going to go around the museum. Okay. In our tour around the Heritage Museum, we come to the war exhibits, and I'd like to point out that we're in the World War II exhibit, but Fred and I are not that old, okay? But we do have some folks in the county that are veterans of World War II. I know Mr. James Bass comes to mind for sure, and I shouldn't have named a name because there's several more. And but anyway, this is Mr. Fred Keith. Fred is our Tennessee County Veterans Service Officer. You actually are a county employee, is that right?
Yes, sir, I am.
And I'd like to point out, now Fred does not work for the VA or any of the government agencies. He works for Smith County, and therefore he works for the veterans that are in Smith County. Am I right, Fred?
Yes, sir, that's all I work for is the veterans.
Okay.
I take some direction from the VA, also have training. We have a recertification once a year. I have training 4 times a year that I have to go into Nashville.
Okay, and what you can basically do is help them with benefits, things that they're due, filling out paperwork, maybe a phone call to somebody that they can't get to.
Yes, sir. I have our software hooks us directly with the VA. I can do the claims in my office and send them directly to the VA within a few seconds whenever I hit the enter button. This morning, besides doing claims for pensions and I'm getting old.
Oh, we all are.
Had a guy come in this morning. He his DD-214 is in error. He has it did not list his Vietnam service in country. It didn't list his wounds that he received. So I'm in the process now of, excuse me, getting his DD-214 changed so I can get his medal for in country and also get his Purple Heart.
Okay. So that you can help a lot of folks like that. Now, you were Vietnam era, right?
Yes,
what branch of the service were you in?
U.S. Navy.
Okay. And
22 years retired.
and I know Bob Baker lives in Lancaster. Right. He was a submariner. Or is that what they call it?
He's a bubblehead.
Oh, Bob, I'm sorry. He said it. I didn't. Anyway, and so you were on a ship, though?
I was on ship. I was also stationed at shore bases, and I also flew with the VP squadrons.
Okay, well, let me say sincerely, thank you for your service, and all of you veterans out there, thank you for your service, because we wouldn't be standing here and have the freedom we've got today if it wasn't for people like yourself.
It's been hard accepting the thank yous over the last 5 or 6 years. It's gotten a lot easier with the time period that we were in, some of us. We were welcomed home. And I'm also the commander for the American Legion. And as long as I'm alive, the guys won't be welcome home like that.
Well, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Hey, you go out and you do your service, you need to be appreciated. I noticed looking around the museum here, I know there's some Vietnam era stuff, and there's actually Civil War, and there's everything here. I don't know if you've had a chance to walk around and look at it.
I've looked at it a little. There's a couple items back here that's Vietnam era. That's probably about the newest stuff we've got in here.
Okay, well, I know it's a good exhibit. Okay, your office is located in the historic Smith County Courthouse.
Yes, sir. My office hours are Monday and Tuesday from 8 till 4, and Wednesday from 8 till noon.
Okay.
And I'm in the phone book in Defeated. If you need help, I would definitely help you.
Okay. Well, Mr. Fred, thank you for coming by, and appreciate you coming down to the exhibit here. I think people need to come by and look and just see what the cost of our freedom is, because it's a pretty high cost when you look at the lives that have been dedicated to, well, our freedom.
Yes, sir. Right now, we was talking about World War II vets. We have 11 left in the county.
11 of them.
Yes, sir.
And they literally saved the world.
They did.
Yes. All right. Well, Mr. Fred, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're still here at the Heritage Museum, obviously, and behind us you'll see a paddle boat, and this is Mr. David Anderson, and he is with Gramps Travel. David, tell me something. Can you get me on a paddle boat?
Yes, I can. Every now and then,
I'm amazing.
Every now and then, the American Steamboat Company sends a paddle boat up the river right here to Nashville, and it docks here. So it's an irregular schedule, but it does happen.
So we could actually get on a paddle boat.
Get on one here, get on one in Memphis. New Orleans is the most common place to get on one. But they go all up and down the Mississippi River and Ohio and Cumberland rivers.
Well, what we're here to talk about, David's got some stuff that he wants to show you that he with Gramps Travel that they can do. So why don't you just go ahead and show them what you got?
This is wave season. Wave season is January, February, March. And during wave season, 40% of all the cruise cabins in the world are sold. And you get really good deals during wave season. So this is the end of January. Right now, on Norwegian, you can get your choice of 5 free deals if you sign up on Norwegian. On Princess, you can get a whole bunch of onboard credit if you sign up for a cruise on Princess. And on Carnival, today you can get a 50% off on your deposit. And there's all kinds of deals like that. That's just 3 of them. All the cruise lines are running these deals during January and February, running into the first part of March. So if you think you might want to take, for instance, a holiday cruise at the end of the year, sign up now because you're going to get your best deal.
Okay.
Now. Yes.
Well, I know there's been a few times when you've looked at things for me, and I actually went and looked myself, and you get a better deal than...
Well, I just know where to find them.
Yeah. So, folks, if you're thinking about going on a cruise or a trip or anything, you ought to check with David because he can definitely save you some money.
Yep. David Anderson, Gramps Travel. Gramps_travel@yahoo.com, and it doesn't cost anything to use me. My services are free.
Oh man, that's one of the few things in life that are free. a travel expert.
Yeah, right here in Smith County.
Okay, well, you're located in Gordonsville, but now the best way to get a hold of you is either phone or internet email.
Yep.
Do you want to give that email out?
Sure. Gramps_travel@yahoo.com, and my phone is 615-828-2960.
Okay, so folks, if you want to give David a chance at giving you a good trip, give him a call.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Continuing our circle around the Heritage Museum, we're at the farm exhibit, and I don't believe that's quite the way they farm nowadays, is
Not
it?
exactly, not exactly.
Okay, this is Miss Katie Martin. She's with UT Extension, and you are going to talk to us about 4-H, is that right?
Absolutely,
All
yeah.
right.
We've got lots going on with 4-H right now. We just got finished with our sub-regional public speech contest. That took place at Hyder Burks, and we had 12 Smith County 4-Hers representing us. They did a wonderful job. Several of them placed in the top 5 in their grade, but they all represented Smith County very, very well, and we're so proud of them. We also have 4 that competed in the 9th through 12th grade division, and all 4 of them were top 5 in their grade level. So since they're in the senior high, they will actually move on, and they will go speak at Cumberland University for the regional contest. So be wishing them luck. We are hoping to bring back some awards to Smith County, but regardless, they just have excellent communication skills, and we are very proud of them for getting to move on and continue on. Other than that, we've got lots of activities going up. As far as judging teams go, in February, we will be starting our horse judging team, which is for grades 4th through 12. You don't have to have a horse. You don't have to know anything about horses. You just have to want to come practice with us and be involved. We'll learn about different breeds of horses, their conformation, and different riding disciplines. And we'll also be doing livestock judging in February, where we learn how to judge cattle, sheep, goats, and hogs. So that's another exciting one that helps with critical thinking and decision-making skills. And both of those have contests that go along with them that kind of give the kids opportunities to show off their skills and maybe win some ribbons and trophies.
Okay, sounds like a lot of things are going on with 4-H. Now, do you go around to all the schools?
Yeah, we are in most of the schools. We're in all the 4th, 5th, and 6th grades, some 7th and 8th grades this year. So this month they have been turning in their 4-H posters. We're working on judging those right now. We have some amazing artists in our Smith County students. So those are exciting, and we'll hopefully actually be hanging up in some of our local businesses so you guys can get a look at some of our first place winners in the classroom. Next month, they'll actually be doing demonstrations where they teach us how to do something like how to bake cookies or how to sew on a button. So very exciting stuff happening in the schools too.
Okay, well, now how long do you track a student in the school system?
So we have lots of them that started in 4th grade that go all the way through 12th grade with us. Like I said, we've got some senior high exhibitors that will be in public speaking. So it is open to 4th through 12th grade, and we would love to have you for as long as you're with us. A lot of the opportunities actually come in high school, and so some of our kiddos don't know that some of the best opportunities are really still to come.
Oh yeah, if you shine in 4-H, it's got to have an effect on
Absolutely.
on grants and scholarships
Right.
and everything else that you're
Yep,
involved in.
it's important to be involved.
Okay, well, is there? I've got somewhere I want to go with this, but is there anything else that we need to touch on before?
I think that's about it for us, yeah.
Okay, well, one of the folks that I think you have had in your classes is Miss Grace Harville.
Yes,
is that right?
absolutely.
Well, I want to get you to help me. We've got a segment of Seasoned with Grace, and if you would help me introduce that.
Absolutely.
All right.
We are so proud of Miss Grace Harville. She is 11th grade 4-H'er that is involved in everything from public speaking to our honor club, our community club, and she also has this wonderful Seasoned with Grace segment that we enjoy watching, and I'm excited to see what she's making this time.
Okay, so now we're going to see Seasoned with Grace.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Seasoned with Grace. Since this month is February and it's the month of Valentine's Day, we're going to be making a delicious dessert called a chocolate trifle. It's one of my favorite desserts to make because it's really easy and it only has 4 ingredients. And we're going to start off with our brownies. It's 1 box of brownies that I've already pre-cooked, and I've already crumbled them up into bite-sized pieces. And I also have 2 boxes of chocolate pudding, 2 containers of whipped topping, and 1 bag of Heath Bar bits that will all go together in our trifle. So first we're going to add, our bottom layer is going to be our brownies. And you just want to make sure that you evenly get these on the bottom of the pan. That way, whenever you spoon some out for yourself, you won't just get one certain thing. And that was half of our brownies that we used. Next, we're going to add half of our chocolate pudding. Make sure you smoothen that around. Next, we're going to add one of our containers of our whipped topping. The pretty thing about this dish is you can see all the layers, and it just makes it really, the appearance of it is really nice. And once again, like the pudding, you just want to make sure that it's all spread around so that you can see it through the bowl. And now we're going to add half of our Heath Bar bits. This will give it kind of a nice crunch. Right, and we're going to continue with the rest of our brownies, our pudding, our whipped topping, and our Heath Bar bits. And one of the things that I sometimes like to add to my chocolate trifles are fruit. Fruit's a great thing to add to this. If you like strawberries and chocolate, that would be a fantastic combination. Or you could also do cherries, like maraschino cherries. That would also be a really great thing to add to your chocolate trifle. We're going to add our pudding once again. And next, our other container of whipped topping. This will make it nice and fluffy. I always love to use whipped topping and things like this. Alright, now we're going to add the rest of our Keith bar bits. And here we have our finished product of our delicious chocolate trifle. And you can see all of the layers in that, and it looks really, really good. If you would like the copy to this recipe or any of the recipes that I've done on Seasoned with Grace, you can go to my Facebook page, Seasoned with Grace. I hope you all have a fantastic Valentine's Day, and I hope your day is seasoned with grace. We'll see you next time.
In our tour of the Smith County Heritage Museum, we've got a special exhibit that we really want to talk about, and Miss Ann Wagner, world traveler and renowned historian. And the reason I say that is you just got back from Vietnam. Is that right, on a tour?
Vietnam and Cambodia.
Now, wait a minute, it's Vietnam.
Vietnam.
No, I remember, you're not old enough to remember this, but Walter Cronkite, they used to have that. Is it Vietnam or Vietnam? And I still don't know which one is correct.
I think they'll answer to either, though.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, I understand you had a great trip.
Wonderful trip.
Well,
terrific experience.
I'm glad you got to do that. Those things are once in a lifetime for sure. Miss Ann is a part of the museum board, and she wanted to talk to us a moment here about the Nobel Peace Prize winners exhibit that we have here. Well, I won't steal your thunder. I'm going to just let you talk.
Well, we've always had some artifacts from both Cordell Hull, and Al Gore Jr., but because we had a community event last August, we were blessed with some new artifacts. So what we have here is just a updated display of some artifacts from the Cordell Hull estate and artifacts from our former Vice President, Al Gore Jr. And so we are calling this exhibit the Smith County Nobel Peace Prize Winners Exhibit, because we in Smith County are very fortunate to have two Nobel Peace Prize winners in our county, and that is a very accomplished thing. So we just wanted to highlight.
And the only two in the state of Tennessee.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if there are any other states that can make that claim.
I seriously doubt it. Not that I am aware of. Okay, we're still walking around the museum, and Miss Pam Billington is here. First off, I'd like to plug something. Pam is the chairman of the museum board, and appreciate you taking time to be, shepherding that group. And I'd also thank you for being members of the Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate that. And I know sometimes we don't say anything, but people can be members of the museum, right? You want to tell them about that?
Yes. You can be a member of the museum. You can join the membership drive that we have each year in March. In fact, we'll be sending out letters really soon inviting people to become members, and we will be having a membership reception in the end of March, and all of our members will come and get to meet our newest donor to the museum.
Oh, and a new exhibit here.
And our new exhibit, Mr. Bridges Dillahay, has donated this lovely display of wood relief carvings that he has won. A ribbon over here. Here's his ribbon that he won in the International Wood Carvers Association. He won that in 2017 and donated it to Smith County Museum. Over lots of other museums that he looked at, but he'd come back here because he was born here in the county. And he's going to be here at our membership reception to answer questions concerning all of his work that he has donated.
And it's
here.
quite intricate. I have looked at several of them
very much so.
and read the script that's below them, and it's quite an intricate
That's
piece.
right. It's all portraying the country life, maybe what Appalachia is to a lot of people. He has tried to portray in his wood relief carving.
Okay, well, Miss Pam, I know there's a lot of other things in the museum, and I know this is a new exhibit, and of course, the Nobel Peace Prize winners is a new exhibit. But there's still a lot of other stuff here that many people probably haven't seen.
Exactly.
And I know I always like looking at the old country store that you have out front.
We have the old country store, and we have lots of little items that people can purchase there. We also have the Century Farms. People have made a display of their Century Farm that they own, and we have displayed lots of the farms here in the county.
Well, and of course the 1880s farm is over there, and that's quite interesting.
Oh yeah, the barn.
One thing I need to ask you, do you have any Eclipse t-shirts left?
Not now. We were successful with our Eclipse t-shirt sale, and our Eclipse ornament sale was also a great success.
Yeah, you sold Eclipse ornaments for Christmas.
We sure did, and we were successful and sold every one of them. So.
Well, that was a once-in-a-lifetime event, and the museum took
advantage of it.
and should have, and I'm glad that you did. Well, Miss Pam, thank you for letting us come through the museum.
You're very welcome.
And we hope to do this again and just kind of see as things grow and change. Right. The one thing about the museum, it's about history and everything that was behind us, but it keeps changing and growing, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Because people donate things.
Keeps growing, that's right. And we appreciate people that will donate items to the museum.
Yeah, and it's a good way to preserve the history of your family. I know somewhere around here, I don't know if it's on display right now, there's a museum that my a wheelchair that my great-great-great-grandfather sat in, and I always come by and you know, it just means something to you to see that.
That's right.
All right, well, we're going to keep looking around the museum. So thank you, Miss Pam.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we're standing outside of the Smith County Heritage Museum, and the reason we're outside is because there's something happening here pretty soon. And we got Mr. Chris Hicks with UT Extension. People are going to be wondering about how to prune their trees, aren't they?
Sure. And it's February is a great month of the year to do that. Right before the trees break dormancy, really, Bill, is the best time to be pruning on your fruit trees. And so we get a lot of questions this time of year about pruning. And so I thought I'd kind of show some of the tools today and maybe do a little bit of a demonstration on the proper way to do that.
Okay, so what you're saying is right now is a good time to prune your tree?
Sure, because I mean, you think about it, if you try to do it any later as you get into the spring and summertime, that's when we're actually trying to produce fruit. And so if we can do it before the tree breaks dormancy, it's really less stress on the tree. And so the tree is able to bounce back and produce a healthy crop for us. And yeah, and part of pruning is we want fruit that's healthy and is a good size. You know, a neglected fruit tree may still produce a lot of fruit, but it'll be those little bitty peaches. I know you don't like those little bitty peaches and those little bitty apples that rot really quickly. We want nice, healthy fruit, and pruning is a really good way to do that.
Okay, well, do I need to hold whatever I need to do?
I may let you hold my tree here, but before we do that, I'll just show a couple tools here. These are loppers, and most folks are familiar with those. And you want your tools to be sharp. Now, I haven't sharpened my loppers in a little while, so I probably need to do that.
We call them pruners.
Pruners, loppers, whatever you want to call them. Make sure they're sharp. And another tip that I've learned is, as in between trees, go ahead and dip these in some bleach and water and disinfect them, because that way, if this tree has a disease like fire blight, you're not spreading it from tree to tree if you dip those in some bleach and water in between. I've also got kind of a hand saw here. If you've got some really big limbs, you may need a saw. A lot of folks will use a chainsaw, but obviously want to take precautions and be careful if you're using a chainsaw. Certainly a tree this size, you wouldn't have to use really any kind of saw, but we've got that if needed. This is probably going to be our primary tool today on a tree like this, because this is not a big tree that we've got here, but I just want to kind of show some of the cuts today. And first, when you come up on a tree, the first thing you want to do is look for diseased or broken limbs. So if there's anything that's kind of showing the signs of disease, if you had fire blight or something last year, we've got one broken right here. So we're just going to snip that off.
Now I noticed
right
you
there.
cut that right close.
Cut it close. Now we don't want to cut into the limb, but we want to cut it kind of at the edge. So if you do your hand, put those away so I don't
that's a good idea.
cut myself. If you do your hand like this, and this is maybe your trunk, and this is the limb, you want to get right there in that meat, but not too far so that you damage it. And the tree has an amazing ability to heal itself. I mean, in a few months, you won't even notice that's there. It's going to heal itself. So anything diseased, anything broken, we want to get rid of. Anything that's maybe hanging low, that's kind of pointing downward, shading another branch, because one of the main purposes in pruning is we want to get as much sunlight into the canopy of the tree as possible. So if you look at this limb right here, it's growing kind of down and shading this limb, it's shading this limb. So we'll take our pruners and we'll make a cut right there. Again, nice sharp pruners so we get a good even cut. Now if we were cutting a limb, let's say we wanted to cut this limb out for some reason, let's say it was broken. What I don't want to do, Bill, is cut straight across like that, because, and I don't know if the camera can get in this close, but if this is a straight horizontal cut, what's going to happen is when it rains, water is going to sit right here, and it's going to be a good place to harbor disease and be a problem for the tree. So instead of a cut like that, I want to make kind of an angled cut. And if you can see that, it kind of angles down, and so when the water hits it, it rubs off, it washes off. So that's just kind of one of those little tips of the trade that might come in handy for people.
Okay, all right. Well,
so as we were looking at this, I mean, we'd make several more cuts if we were really going to do a good job pruning. Again, anything crossing, anything that's angled out. And for those people, maybe they bought a property, Bill, that hasn't been anything done with it for a long time, and they've got some fruit trees that are old and they've just been neglected. It's going to take several years of pruning to get it back where it needs to be. So make a few cuts this year, kind of thin things out and see how it looks, and then come back next year. A tree doesn't get neglected and overgrown in a year. It's probably not going to get cleaned up in a year. But if we can do it every year, we can do a lot better job.
I know at home I have an apple tree, and we pruned it, and the first year that I pruned it, we cut a lot of the limbs off, and then I got a whole lot of young limbs coming just straight up out of the tree. And I feel like I may have trimmed it improperly, and so we try to do it better. But is that just the tree, or
it's pretty common when you prune heavily? You're going to get those water sprouts that stick straight up, and in the summer is an okay time to just cut those out. It's not going to hurt the tree at all to cut those out, because they're not going to make very good limbs. If you let them go long enough, they'll make a limb and a branch, but they'll be very weak. So anything sticking straight up, you want to kind of cut that out. Any of those water sprouts or suckers that'll form around the base of the tree, you want to get rid of those. And one thing I'll mention, as we're pruning and we've got a lot of limbs and branches and things around the tree, go ahead and move those somewhere else and burn them, dispose of them, because they're a good spot for diseases and insects to kind of hang out for next year.
Okay, is there a point at which you look at a fruit tree and you go, well, it's just done?
Yeah. Well, so I see a lot of those that people, again, those trees that people haven't managed well, or they've bought a property where the previous owner didn't manage well, and sometimes it's a lot easier and more prudent to just cut that tree down and plant another one, especially if the structure of the tree, the integrity of the tree, the trunk is damaged or diseased. You're just not going to be able to do anything with that tree, and you're better off to cut it down and start again.
Okay, last question. Sure. I think I look around my apple tree and there's little dots all the way around it, doing all the way around it.
Yeah.
It evidently is a woodpecker. or something like that that's getting it. So do they like fruit trees better than other trees?
Well, we'll see woodpecker damage and fruit trees and other things too. So they're after something. So you may have some kind of worm or other insect that those woodpeckers are coming after. So you might not necessarily be able to do anything with the woodpecker unless you treat for the other bugs that are over there.
So as you get rid of the bugs, and the woodpeckers will go find somewhere
They'll find somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Chris, thank you very much.
Sure.
I know I've learned something.
Good.
And I'm sure that's helping you guys out. Sure. And we appreciate what you guys do at UT Extension.
Thank you, Bill. We've got some great publications on fruit tree pruning and other fruit-related topics on our website at smith.tennessee.edu, or folks can come by and see us at the office at 125 Gordonsville Highway, and we'll be glad to print those off for them.
Okay, and these guys, you'll like their prices. They're free.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're free. So they'll help you out. All right, Chris, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bill.
Well, we hope you enjoyed the Chamber Show. The folks here at the Smith County Heritage Museum, they allowed us to come in and make interviews in front of the exhibits, and they've got some really interesting stuff here, and I hope you'll make it a point to come by and see them and look at our history. It's very important that we remember that, because we need to remember who we are and our roots and why and how we got to where we are. So we appreciate them letting us come in. Wanted to tell you about a few things that are going on in the county, and there are some things that are happening every week. Every Tuesday from 2:30 to 3:30, Mr. Tim Frank, Brother Tim Frank, teaches a grief counseling session, and it's open to anybody that wants to come. And it's a very good session. If you know somebody that's had a devastating incident in their life or something that is really bothering them, this course is something they should take. It's absolutely free, and he does it as a service to the community. So that's one thing that would be good for you to remember. February the 14th, we have the Chocolate Extravaganza. That is a benefit for the Smith County FCE clubs. Now, if you want to learn more about that, it's Miss Mary Draper at the UT Extension Service, and you can give them a call down there, and they will tell you all about the Chocolate Extravaganza. I can tell you from experience, you basically get a container, you pay them $5, and you can fill it as full as you can get and still close the lid. And it's some of these excellent chocolates that these ladies have made in the FCE clubs, and it's really good. So I advise you to go by on February the 14th and get a box of chocolate to give to someone that you care about. On February the 16th, we've got Coffee Conversations with Terry Lynn Weaver. That takes place at the Chamber of Commerce. And if you want to know what's going on at the state legislature, they're in session right now, and there's a lot of important topics being discussed, and it would be good for you to come by and see that. And it doesn't matter what your party is, it doesn't matter who you are, you come by and you can ask her questions, and she'll do her best to answer them. Also, the Masonic Lodge, they're taking orders right now for Vidalia onions. A 10-pound bag is $10. And I believe April the 9th is the deadline for you to order these. And if you've got questions about that, you can call 615-489-0572. I do know that they drive down there on the day that they're going to pick them, and they pick them up and they bring them back, and so they're fresh. So if you want a 10-pound bag of Vidalia onions, you need to call these guys. And I will say I got one last year, and they are truly good. Also, February the 24th, there is a father-daughter banquet that takes place at the Ag Center, and it benefits Habitat for Humanity. And the tickets are $25 each, so a father and daughter would be $50, and then there is a discount, I think, if it's more than 2 people, they go $20 on the tickets after that. And it's a very good organization that's benefiting, and I've taken my granddaughter the last 2 years, and it's a very enjoyable event, and I think you would like it too. So if you've got a grandchild or a child that you would like to take to this, I assure you she will enjoy it. I guess that's it for our announcements. Again, thank you for watching the Chamber Corner, and we'll see you next month.